Hello everyone, and welcome back to another addition to my 2021 Disney Princess Bullet Journal series. For this video, I thought it would be a nice change to film outside in honor of this month's princess because it is none other than the natural and free-spirited American legend herself, Pocahontas. When I think of September, I think of my favorite season, fall. Even though I live in California, where the fall season basically starts in late October. But anyways, my favorite part of fall is watching nature change from that lush green to the beautiful warm colors that make everything look like a painting. And that makes me think of Pocahontas. But it's funny because I'm pretty sure the movie takes place in the summer, but I always associate her with fall. I don't know. Just me, I guess. So the main aspect I wanted to emphasize in her line art was the wind blowing her hair and her necklace. For her icon, I chose the compass that John Smith gives her because it represents her journey of finding the right path in life, which describes where I am in my life. I believe this new job is the right direction for me to take after the hard lesson I endured last year. That's why I chose the quote, "Sometimes the right path is not the easiest one," which is what Grandmother Willow says to John Smith in Pocahontas. So I'm anxious to see what is in store for me for the rest of the year. Alright, now that the cover page is done, it's time to set up my monthly memories page. I'm very happy with how this looks, and yeah, I really love how this line art turned out. It's just nice and simple, and you can tell with very few lines that it's Pocahontas. So let's move on to the calendar spread. So for this month, I wanted to return to the Dutch door layout that I used in previous months. So I pictured large leaves being the edge of the calendar, which is the door that leads to my social media page. And then on the back, I will have my focus and expectations area. But first, I made sure to decorate and color the page before I started cutting it. And yes, I am taking out the Pocahontas pages out of the Disney Princess sticker book because frankly, it's easier to carry a few pages versus an entire booklet. You'll see that the main colors I chose for this month are a red-orange, tan, dark brown, and turquoise. I thought they were good colors to represent her outfit and Native American culture. Now I'm just adding a few leaves here that you will see up in this section. And now let's add the dates And it's time to cut out the door. You may notice that it's a different day. That's because my phone stopped recording due to not having enough storage, but I've at least fixed that and will be moving on to my focus section and social media planning page. Now, all that was left to do was to decorate the calendar with the stickers. And it's done. I just love these colors and how the Dutch door layout makes everything flow together. Reminds me of my Tangled calendar. Now it's time to move on to a couple new spreads that I know I will be using this month. The first page I'm going to set up is my finances page, which I have used before in my 2020 journal, but after I became unemployed, I stopped using it and simply focused on daily journaling for my mental health. Don't worry, I still paid attention to my expenses, I just did it through my bank's app rather than paper. But now that I have a job again, I want to go back to using a finance spread. I just made it one page instead of two. So the point of this is for me to track my income, bills, essential purchases, and then any miscellaneous spending I do. You know, Starbucks, manicures, eating out, those treat yourself expenses. Then I compare my income to my expenses to make sure I stuck to my budget and increase my starting amount by the end of the month. So I'm going to see how this month goes and decide whether or not to go back to my 2-page spread or stick with this one for the next month. And you'll notice a slight time change with that sunrise, causing shadows on my pages, but again, it is what it is. Just gotta go with it. Now, after adding that bit of color, we will move over to the right side where I have my work desk page. This page is specifically to remind me of 2 things: my work schedule, so that I only work the maximum hours I am allowed, and my main responsibilities so that I don't do any work or task outside my job description. That may sound odd to you, and I may talk about it in a future video, but for now, I am happy to start this new chapter of my life. So it's a pretty minimal spread, to be honest, but that's mainly for all the writing. Here I'll write down my standard work hours in these boxes and list all my tasks that I do in this large box. Then down below I have a nice little box for notes and this extra space for any post-it notes I want to stick on the bottom. So we'll see how this works out, and let's move on. Okay, another time change. As you can see by my Pocahontas nails, I'm actually matching my monthly setup video this time. So today we'll be creating the first weekly layout, so I have already printed the pictures I will be using, and I'll be using this lovely washi tape that gives me fall landscape vibes. At first, I couldn't decide whether to have it on the top or bottom, and then I decided, why not both? And I'm glad I did, because it went with the pictures beautifully. This week is all about the introduction to Pocahontas, where you can see her playful nature with Nakoma, the love she has for her father, and the iconic scene when she receives her mother's necklace. For this month's weekly layouts, I went back to combining Saturday and Sunday so that each week starts with my work week and ends with what I did for the weekend. I also want to use the weekly rolling task list again because it seemed I used it a lot more than the monthly trackers, so we'll see how that goes. And the final touch was a quote said by Takata. "You know Pocahontas. She has her mother's spirit. She goes wherever the wind takes her." And that, my friends, is the base look of all the weekly layouts. And yes, I will be filming my full process on those creations for another video. But for now, let's move on to the final flip through. And that is my September setup, and I am so happy with how it turned out because what a progress! Filming 3 different days to get this done, and then taking time to edit 2 videos at once. Very thankful for the 4-day weekend. Oh, I just love this page. I really do. I think it is my favorite out of all the spreads because the colors just complement each other and the Dutch door transitions to the next pages beautifully, where I will write down my 2 focus points, what I expect from the month, and my social media planning, where I will have my brainstorming and plan out my Instagram posts. And I will use this efficiently so that I stay on track. Next, we have the 2 new spreads, the finances page where I will track my income and expenses, and then my work desk for my new job, just for notes and stuff. I'm hoping that these will be productive in the long run, but for this month, it's just experimental. And lastly, we have the first weekly setup, and as I said earlier, there will be a second video where I create the rest of the weeklies. So stay tuned for that episode. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this month's setup compared to August because I don't know what happened with that month. That was not what I intended at all for that video to be, but I'm glad I at least got to show you with what I had. but that's life, and we're just going to move on. If you agree, please click that like button, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for more drama.